Start. Good afternoon, everyone here. My name is Chielu Chikwendu. Thank you so much for joining today's WIMCAP program. Okay. Yeah, good afternoon once again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's WIMCAP program. My name is Chielu Chikwendu, and I am a director at Vertebra Tech Hub. Today, with the WIMBIZ team, we'll be having a discussion about demystifying artificial intelligence. But first, I'll talk a bit about WIMBIZ. So WIMBIZ, which is the Women in Management, Business and Public Service, is a nonprofit organization that has, over the last 22 years, implemented programs that inspire, empower, advocate for women, for greater representation of women in leadership positions, both in the public and in the private sector. WIMBIZ is also a volunteer-based organization funded largely by donations and contributions by members and by partners, and is also a supporter for the Code of Ethics and the Conduct for NGOs. For more information about WIMBIZ, please visit the website www.wimbiz.org. We would like to thank our sponsors at this point. For today's program, First Bank of Nigeria, we say a big thank you for supporting the May edition of the 2023 WIMBIZ Capital Training Program. So today, like I said, we'll be speaking about demystifying artificial intelligence. Let's know where you're all joining us from. You can please drop messages in the chat room. Feel free to introduce yourselves as well. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. Good afternoon. I can see you, Iyabo, Umar, Lawal. You can say hello to us on the chat room before we go fully into today's presentation. Yes, I can see you. I can see the people in the chat room. Grace, Precious, Mercy from Akwa Ibom. Grace is from Abuja. Wow, amazing. We have Clarice from Port Harcourt. We have Rabiat. Hi, Rabiat. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's program. Thank you, Flo. Thank you, Opeyemi from Lagos. We see you all. We appreciate your presence here. So we'll go right into today's program. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be discussing demystifying artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence, this all disruptive, all powerful AI. I'm sure in the last couple of months, we've all been caught up in the frenzy of the ChatGPT, and then we had the Bard, this amazing technology coming up to help us create our content, automate our processes, make life so amazing in terms of our work, in terms of the things that we do personally, managing our social media platforms and doing a whole lot. Now, I'm super excited about this topic because the opportunities and, all of the amazing things we hear about AI is absolutely mind-blowing, right? But on the other hand, I'm also worried. We also hear about the other side of AI. We hear people say AI is going to take over all of our jobs in the next couple of years. We hear people say things around robots. We are going to start seeing robots on the streets. If you remember the Will Smith movie of back in the years, so there are all of those concerns. There are all of those, concerns really around artificial intelligence. And to help us demystify what artificial intelligence is, this amazing tool called artificial intelligence, we have amazing speakers that are going to do justice to the topic. Guys, I can assure you that in the next 2 hours, we are going to have an explosive session. Our speakers today are so insightful in this topic. They're going to give us every area. They're going to talk about every area of this topic today. So please relax. Grab a drink if you want to, because I can assure you that we are going to have an explosive 2 hours. But before we go in, I would like to please call on the Executive Director of WIMBIZ, Hansatu Adegbite, to please give us and opening remarks for this session, and then we'll jump right in. Hansi.
I'm right here. Thank you so
much,
Chielu. I just want to use this opportunity, first of all, to thank everybody that is on the call. I know a lot of people are still joining. I just want to use this opportunity, first of all, to appreciate our partners and longtime sponsors, First Bank of Nigeria, PLC, because First Bank always sort of supports what we're doing and strives with us to continue to raise the bar higher. We know that AI, artificial intelligence, anything around technology, all the new things that are happening in the space of the technology environment seems to be a bit virgin for a lot of women, our entrepreneurs especially. And so one of the reasons we're doing this particular program is just to give a lot of us insight. So on behalf of all the board of trustees, even our life members and members of the management team, I want to use this opportunity to thank everybody joining from all over the world. But specifically, I want to appreciate our two speakers for the day. You know, we say we are in a local community, but in fairness, we have gone global and we continue to expand our global territories. And so we have Leticia, and it is interesting that Leticia is a Nigerian, but a Nigerian that has been based in America for so many years in Louisiana, but she's currently in the United Kingdom, she's enjoying some of the beautiful weather with King Charles, as I see she was a part of the coronation. And so we just want to appreciate and welcome Leticia and thank her for availing her time. And then we also have Johannes. Johannes is currently in Switzerland. So my people, you are both in UK and you are in Europe, even though he's based in Boston in the USA. So we are privileged to be hearing from the two of them. They are both in the same Oxford University cohort on artificial intelligence. And so we're getting it hot today, right from the seat of the UK king, if I must say. But the important thing is that we're getting it hot from Oxford. We all know that Oxford University has very high standards, and they just want to sort of introduce us to AI. They're not going deep into so many things, but they just want to introduce us to it, show us areas that it is relevant for us as business professionals, as well as even those of us in the corporate and the public sector space. So I just want us to also engage them, especially during the Q&A session, so that we continue to expand our own territories. And I think at the end of today, the main aim is so that we begin to see areas that will be very important for us as business professionals, as well as corporate entities, and begin to also leverage on the opportunities that are there. A lot of people have a lot of fear when it comes to tech and AI, but again, we are here to learn, we're here to grow. And again, I just want you to continue to engage on the chat. You can't come in here and leave without making a new contact. WIMBIZ is all about connecting people. So let's connect ourselves from all over the world. Let's engage, let's tag and use the necessary hashtags on WIMBIZ or WIMCAP, and tag WIMBIZ in all your posts, and let's just get the conversation going. So once again, I just want to welcome everybody, and I want to appreciate our management team for all the work that they've done to ensure that this runs. And First Bank, once again, we salute you and we thank you. So let's enjoy the day, and Chielu, over to you.
Thank you so much, Hansi. Thank you for that opening remarks. So we have a poll. We do have a poll. It will be coming up here live. We just want to take our polls really to see how well we are familiar with artificial intelligence before we call on the speakers to take it up from here and give us their insight. So there's a poll on the platform. Tech team, please share the poll. Put up the poll questions. Very simple questions, just 5 of them. Please answer that, and then yeah, we will go through and then, see what, we all know about AI before the experts, which is our speakers today, take us through their sessions. All right, the poll is live. Please answer the questions. They're really simple questions, Is artificial intelligence the same as human intelligence? And then we are not scoring you. This is, it's really, like I say, it's just doing a pulse check to know how familiar we are with the subject. And this will guide the speakers, in their discussions for today. So I'll give 2 minutes for this poll to be concluded. We'll see the results and then we take on conversations. Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I can see you're answering the questions. Thank you. Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Please answer all 5 questions. They are pretty simple questions. Amazing. I'll give another 30 seconds. Please, we would like your participation, everyone. It's a very simple poll. It's really simple questions. We just want to know how well we are familiar with this topic. Okay, so I think we have about 104 people that have taken the quiz. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's good representation. I'll give a few more seconds and then I will end the poll and we'll look at the results before we start the session proper. Okay, I think I would end the poll so that we can get right into the session. So please share the results so that we can see how well we know about this amazing technology before our speakers get on board. Okay, I'll quickly take us through the answers. We had we have 113 people take the poll. Thank you so much, everyone. That's amazing participation in the time. So the first question, is artificial intelligence the same as human intelligence? We have 5% saying yes. We have 91% saying no. And then we have 4% saying maybe. Interesting. Fortunately, I don't know the answers. Our speakers are going to give us the answers when they start speaking. So I will just move. Like I said, this is just a pulse check. Can artificial intelligence understand and interpret human language? We have 113 people answered the question. 85% says yes, 7% says no, 8% says maybe. Interesting. Does artificial intelligence have the ability to understand emotions? iRobot comes to mind. 30% says yes, 53% says no, 17% says maybe. The fourth question, can artificial intelligence be used to solve complex problems? Amazing, 92% says yes, 1% said no, 7% said maybe. And then the last question, is artificial intelligence capable of improving its performance over time? 84% says strongly agree, 13% says neutral, and 3% says strongly disagree. So like I said, I don't have the answers. Our experts are here, and I'll be introducing them right about now. Again, be reminded that our topic today is demystifying artificial intelligence. Demystifying this amazing technology called artificial intelligence. And I would like to call on our first speaker today. Our first speaker is Mrs. Leticia Bertrand. Miss Leticia, are you here?
I am here.
Amazing.
Hi, everybody.
You're welcome. You're welcome to today's session. So Mrs. Leticia is a leadership strategist and an executive coach. She has had positive impact on businesses for the past 25 years. So she's an AI expert. She's a strong advocate for using robotics and artificial intelligence in accelerating development, training, rehabilitation, education, beautification of marginalized communities. She's got an MBA and she's an Oxford leader. So you're very welcome, Leticia.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. So I want to share my screen in just 1 second, okay? All right. How's everybody doing today? Just say a big hi, hello, if you're engaged in the comment section. This is gonna be very interactive, by the way. All right. Okay, so we are talking today about demystifying artificial intelligence. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes.
Just respond. Okay, fantastic. All right, so my name is Leticia Bertrand, and I have an MBA in business administration in marketing, and I also have a master's degree in information systems management, specializing in organizational leadership. I'm currently at the University of Oxford studying AI, and the world is right now ablaze talking about AI, not ablaze in a bad way, in a good way. So we're going to talk about using AI in a good way.
Hello, WIMBIZ and WIMCAP. Greetings to sponsors from First Bank of Nigeria, in operation since 1894. My name is Ona Edo, a Nigerian name that means gold. As much as I may look like your next-door neighbor or someone you have seen in the movies, I am not real. I was generated using AI tools. By the end of this session, with the right tools and connectivity, you will also be able to create a model like me. Stay with us as we dive into demystifying AI.
So that's Onedo. She was created using AI technology. So our intention for this session today is to get you to be more familiar with the capabilities of AI, what you can do with AI. It's still growing, and there are opportunities for you to make an impact in the world of AI. There's still issues with apps like this, and so it's an opportunity for you to jump in and see how you can make this technology better. First, I want to talk about artificial intelligence do no harm. Open source artificial intelligence is actually accessible, open for everyone at the moment. And we ask during this presentation, that you use AI responsibly. We're going to teach you different ways of using AI. We're going to take you under the hood of AI And so you're going to learn more about AI today than you probably already knew. And we ask that you are responsible with these powerful language models and tools and to use AI responsibly. What we want to do, myself and Johannes, in these 2 hours is to present AI in a way that is useful and beneficial to you, in a way that you can feel comfortable using AI on a daily basis and applying the technology to your work and maybe to starting a business or to the business that you're currently in. And you don't have to be an expert in AI now to reap the full advantage of artificial intelligence. OpenAI has made it very easy, and we're going to give you details about how that's possible right now for you to be able to use AI as if you are a specialist technology expert. And so we've come together today presenting AI in Nigeria because we are aware of the gap that exists in women representation within this world. As Hansi originally said, I am part Nigerian and I am part American. I've been in America for over 30 years, and I had actually decided to retire, went back to Nigeria, and I realized that there's still so much to do. And so I got myself out of retirement and got into more technology training so that I can use it for the benefit of Nigeria and the world at large. I think that if we can throw technology at emerging economies or demarginalized areas, we will be able to accelerate their growth. We're going to share with you what AI is all about, its potential. Well, we have 2 hours, so of course there's a limitation to how much we're going to be able to share, but this is just the beginning. There will be more. So stay in the space with us, please. We're going to take you behind the scenes. We're going to pull back the curtains. We're going to show you around the garage and open up the hood. Johannes is going to do some of that later on when he comes on. And we encourage you to have open minds, to allow your imagination to run freely as you think of different ways that your businesses can enhance from using artificial intelligence. And you can go ahead and in the comment section, just enter ways that you think that you can enhance your business currently using AI. Just use your imagination. We're not here today to present to you all the answers. We're here as guides to aid you in figuring out solutions that will help in removing barriers that currently exist in the world of AI, in the continent of Africa, and most specifically, Nigeria. And because Nigeria is the giant of Africa, we're starting here. My goal is to reach 100 million women and young girls through technology. Do you think it's possible? Send me a message in the comment section. So artificial intelligence, I saw some of your responses. So let's just go over some of them really quickly. I saw, is artificial intelligence the same as human intelligence? Majority of you said no. And just a few people said yes. I'd like to hear the people that said yes, why. So enter those in the comment section and we can discuss them later. And also, can artificial intelligence understand and interpret human language? So we're going to go deeper into those questions about AI. And also then, does artificial intelligence have the ability to understand emotions? Can artificial intelligence be used to solve complex problems? I can actually say yes to all, except a little bit of a maybe to the first one, that artificial intelligence is not the same as human intelligence, although it is the aim of artificial intelligence founders to utilize this technology in a way that mimics the human brain. So using data, they teach machines responses through prompts. And then when you're talking about the deep learning, you're going into the neural aspect of artificial intelligence, much like the way that the brain works. AI involves the creation of computer systems and programs capable of simulating human-like cognitive abilities. And that's through thousands of iterations. And it's not an easy task, but the people who have founded it have made it easy for us now to do day-to-day tasks that in the past would have taken a long time to achieve. So basically, AI's aim is to automate tasks and to make predictions, improve decision-making using algorithms and models. The key components of artificial learning are the first, machine learning, and that's to do with algorithms that enable machines to learn from data and make predictions without explicit programming. And down the line, we're going to talk about how this affects a country like Nigeria or a continent like Africa in terms of the purity of data. So can we truly have real artificial intelligence in Nigeria at the moment right now, or in Africa? We talked about this a little bit already. Deep learning involves neural networks with multiple layers that even some in the tech field cannot even keep up with the layers that have been created right now using artificial intelligence. So maybe you've heard in the news about different experts cautioning the use of AI and asking for a moratorium or for a cessation of the use of artificial intelligence, because now it's so expanded, it's so deep that they cannot even understand how the whole network is going to turn out. So is this possible? Is it possible? And so write in the comment section for me as well. Is it possible to create control at this time? Is it possible to unring this bell? So it's exciting, and who knows, maybe there'll be somebody who will come out there and figure out a way to create a moat, because Google has said they don't have a moat and OpenAI doesn't have a moat either. So barrier to entry almost doesn't exist. So anybody can utilize this technology right now. So what do you think in terms of creating control for this technology? What can be done? So add in the comment section what you think can be done, and a moderator can maybe collate this in the end and we can share these ideas. So look at this image right here. What does it remind you of? So in the comment section, what does it remind you of? It looks like a brain, doesn't it? These are like the neural networks that artificial intelligence works out of. You see how intricate it looks and how complicated it looks and how many the layers are and how complex the layers are. So when artificial intelligence is using the modality of the way that the human brain works, it's trying to imitate the way that the human brain works, then you can look at this picture and see how artificial intelligence actually works. It is built to mimic the human brain functions. Now, is it possible to do it completely where you can eliminate humans in the long run? Hopefully not. One of my colleagues, one of my cohorts, his name is Declan Foster, wrote a book on homology. And I don't know if he's on this platform now, but he wrote a book on homology, and that's talking about keeping humanity in technology, specifically in AI. There are different ways that we can apply AI in Nigeria, in Africa, in agriculture, for instance. It can be used in supply chain organization, in predictive analytics, and crop management and monitoring crops. So it could make Africa actually become more productive, and Africa may be able to feed the world using AI. And then with the natural language processing, we're talking about virtual assistants. So if you have used virtual assistants in your day-to-day life, or you're currently using it, send a quick message in the chat area. Let me know if you use virtual assistants. Even when you voice record on your phone or using your Word document and it's taking notes for you, that's AI at work for you. It's able to respond to human language. So that was one of the polls taken. So the people that said, yes, it can respond to human language, they were correct. With autonomous systems, self-driving cars that Tesla is making, and some other companies are making self-driving cars as well. They're making self-driving trucks that can go from San Francisco to San Diego and around. So that's evidence of AI. In Nigeria, put in the comment section what you think the stumbling blocks or the main issues would be with using autonomous vehicles or self-driving vehicles. Let me know if there's a way that we can use autonomous vehicles in Nigeria in certain areas, and let's see how we can drive business by using autonomous self-driving cars. Just think of different ways that it can be used, whether it's in going to deliver things to people without using drivers, what if it's transporting merchandise from one part of the country to another part of the country. So just think of different ways that you can use autonomous systems. You can also use drones for security. So instead of having people man places that are maybe dangerous, use drones instead and robots to navigate extra difficult terrains. So healthcare and medicine is one strong area that Nigeria can definitely benefit from using AI. In fact, I just came out from a venture pitching meeting where we had different people come in and pitch their businesses. And then the one interesting thing there was that they invited some young students, young girls, from a school about an hour away. And they were all in technology, reading mathematics, biology, engineering. And they were between the ages of 15 and 17, I think was the oldest person there. So that's something that I'd like to apply in Nigeria with training like this, to train young girls as well, to sensitize them early enough to this technology, just make them become familiar with it. And we'll talk about this later on too, if there are people that have businesses here, to see how you can create solutions where you can maybe invite young people from schools and have them shadow or mentor them. So these are ways that we can accelerate the process for Nigeria. And so with medicine and healthcare, a lot of them were interested in being able to use AI in medicine. And Johannes shared with me, and maybe he'll share with you guys during his presentation, about an app that is able to diagnose malaria, which is a big deal in Nigeria because of the issue with mosquitoes and malaria over there. So it's something that we can do is develop apps. So it's just a big, wide open field. And so that's why I'm so excited about you guys joining us today, because you can make an impact. You can make an impact because there's so many areas. I mean, in robotics and in surgery, you can use AI right now. So in Nigeria, that field is still wide open. So many areas, maybe diagnostics to use in determining early stage diabetes or hemorrhagic strokes. So being able to determine what causes these things and being able to diagnose them early enough using AI apps or tools would help Nigeria extensively in helping us retain our people so that people don't die so young and so early. And so people don't have to go abroad to get medical assistance. They can get them right here in Nigeria. Banking and finance. So with algorithms developed through AI, there is reduced risk and fraud detection is also enhanced. And so we have a lot of banks and we have a lot of finance institutions in Nigeria that definitely can benefit from utilizing AI. So service to customers, when I went to Nigeria the last time, I noticed that they had chatbots and they had virtual assistants that could actually take care of just mundane little tasks when you call companies on the phone. But this still is wide open. There's still so many opportunities for businesses to stay open 24/7, utilizing chatbots and virtual assistants. So these are just few of the ways that AI can be applied within Nigeria and within Africa, and of course around the world. The benefits of AI, I've already mentioned some of them, is the automation of the processes to increase productivity and enhance performance for labor-intensive and repetitive tasks. If you've seen some videos of Amazon in the warehouse where you have robots just going around and picking up packages and depositing them and putting them together, just robots in their warehouse. That's something that AI is able to do. So organizations that want to scale and become bigger, they can do that utilizing AI. AI with pattern recognition is able to recognize intricate patterns and can predict outcomes. It takes a long time to be able to create this, but AI tools have made it a lot easier for you. So with decision making, AI is able to provide insights and recommendations for more streamlined decision making. We'll go into this a little bit when we talk about using ChatGPT or GPT-4. Of course, AI provides incredible speed and precision. So let's talk about challenges. I mean, AI is so exciting right now. It's just amazing, the potential for this technology. But when we're talking about utilizing AI in Nigeria, we have a few challenges, and those are to do with the data quality as well as the quantity of data. For you to be able to create properly functioning AI tools, you have to have purity of data, and you have to have them in large quantities. So if you are a data analyst, if you want to become a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, this field, I believe, is wide open in Nigeria. So there's a lot of potential if you want to go into that area. And then number two is the ethical considerations of AI. And, when we talked in the beginning about AI using artificial intelligence for good and doing no harm with it, because right now it looks like there are no guidelines, there is no moat, it looks like anybody can use it for anything. And so it raises concerns about privacy as well as bias and the impact on jobs and society. So with privacy, with the data sharing, AI uses data to function. So obviously, a lot of people might feel that their data is compromised because AI is using their data to formulate their algorithms. And then there's the bias issue. The bias issue would be around, let's use an example, women, because women are not adequately represented in a lot of areas, in a lot of fields. There's also that gap, that hole, that missing area when algorithms are being created because there is not enough data to support the inclusion of women. And then there is the impact on jobs and society. Some people ask, and please type in the comment section as well. Some people ask if AI is going to take their jobs. I read somewhere that AI may not take your jobs, but the person who's using AI might compromise your job or take your job. It's supposed to be a joke, but not really funny. But yes, there may be jobs. Actually, let me rephrase that. There will be jobs that are lost because of AI, but there will be jobs also created because of AI. And I believe also that what you're doing now is great. Being in this session, learning more about AI is great. Sensitizing yourself to AI, socializing AI to people around you, that's great, because this technology is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere at all. So there is the danger that the use of AI will replace jobs, but there is also the increased benefit that it's going to highly accelerate the development of our societies, especially the emerging ones. So we're happy to spread AI around Nigeria. So the third challenge, of course, there are other challenges, but I'm focusing on 3 for now, is the technical complexity of utilizing AI. You saw the chart that I put up with the human brain and how the different neural networks are so complex and just almost difficult to predict the outcomes, the final outcomes of this technology. So there is that complexity, and implementing these systems would require great expertise in algorithms, in computing resources and data management. So for companies in Nigeria that are currently utilizing AI in their businesses, and if you can write in the comment section if your company is using AI currently, I'd like to know. So for companies that are already utilizing AI in their day-to-day processes, that's great, and kudos to you. For those who are not utilizing AI, I want to know if you plan to do that. And if you plan to do that, do you plan to do that with your current employees, or do you plan to outsource? So just let's have your answers in the comment section. So some current trends, ChatGPT and GPT-4. In the comment section as well, I want to know who is utilizing ChatGPT, who is utilizing GPT-4, and how are you using it? Some people use it on a daily basis. Some people use it randomly, and some people don't want to use it at all. And some institutions of higher learning don't even want to touch it with a long pole. But I believe that there are ways that you could utilize ChatGPT or GPT-4 as a complement within educational institutions. So we're not saying copy things, but you can allow students to be creative with ChatGPT and GPT-4. And we could talk about it later as well, how you could utilize ChatGPT and GPT-4 in educational institutions. And especially in Nigeria, you can accelerate progression. So myself and Johannes were talking about this when I initially called Johannes, talked to him about the idea of platforms like this and spreading the word about AI in Nigeria. So I use this example that it's much like you're going for a driving test and you have somebody who's, you have a fully automatic vehicle, but the instructor or the examiner insists on testing you on a stick shift. And so why use a stick shift when you already have an automatic vehicle? So this is going to jumpstart, kickstart, and propel a lot of organizations, a lot of people in Nigeria. And then with edge computing, we're talking about AI processing on local devices, reducing latency and improving privacy. So that's much like your cell phone not going through the cloud, so that there is a limit to the distance between the storage area and the utilization area. So there's less security risk. Ethics and regulation. This is a big deal. And we weren't sure if we needed to, we were going to keep this here because it's such a broad area, ethics and regulation, but we decided to just keep it and just give you a brief summary about ethics because of how important it is to utilization of artificial intelligence, especially with currently no regulations. So there, and in the comment section as well, write us what you think the guidelines should be for utilizing artificial intelligence. But we're talking about establishing guidelines and policies for responsible AI development and deployment. Some people want a free rein. Some people want definitely guidelines established for the use of artificial intelligence. So let's see what you think in the comment section. So Nigerian organizations and startups can benefit from AI in many different ways that enhance efficiency and improve customer experience, mitigate risks, and drive innovation. We are a very innovative people. We have entrepreneurship spirits in Nigeria. So using AI is definitely going to benefit us with fraud detection, prevention through transaction patterns, which AI utilizes, customer behavior, historical fraud cases. And we're talking about data. Again, here is maintaining data that will help artificial intelligence in daily business processes. So if you're an organization that already uses this, that's great. If you're not, you have to think about if you have to train your employees in this area or outsource it. Machine learning algorithms is a huge area. It's very difficult because you train machines. It takes thousands and thousands of trials to train a machine to do one simple act. So that's an area that Nigeria could definitely benefit from. It's open, it's wide open. So if you as a business, you're trying to have a startup to develop new ideas, these are areas that you can jump right into in developing. Practical solutions for businesses. For instance, with robotic process automation, banks can automate repetitive manual tasks through using robotic process automation. And this will end up freeing employees' time and reducing operational costs. Some people might say, well, if this happens, they may lose their jobs. But it could also mean that employees have more time to do more things, to be more creative. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And then also AI algorithms can analyze vast amounts of financial data faster than a human brain can, and figure out investment opportunities. It's just going to be a very progressive area for Nigeria jumping into this arena. So we already talked a little bit about AI-powered chatbots, large language models, and virtual assistants, which can handle routine customer inquiries. So it leaves your employees with more time to do more things, create more ideas for progressing your business. You're also talking about 24/7 availability. So you can operate around the world. You can operate because the world keeps moving. Tokyo has a different time zone. You have the same time zone as the UK. Switzerland, where Johannes is, has a different time zone. America has a different time zone. And within America, there are different time zones. In New York, in Louisiana, in San Diego, they have different time zones. So you can be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with your business, utilizing AI-powered tools and providing customer support to your customers. So if we're going to become a first world country, which is the goal of this whole project, is to enable Nigeria utilizing technology to become a first world country within 5 years. So starting with 100 million women and young girls. We can do this. Personalization. By using AI to understand customer preferences and behaviors, businesses can offer personalized support and recommendations. Scalability. AI will allow your business to scale. And when you scale, then you're going to provide more opportunities and more opportunities, and more businesses grow. And that's how you develop a nation. Thank you for your attention, ladies. And I'll toss it over to our beautiful moderator. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Leticia. Guys, can we please appreciate our speaker for this insightful, this power-packed session that we've just had? Great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Leticia. I know you may have questions for Leticia, so please, we'll be taking the Q&A after the second speaker is done. So you can save your questions. You can also drop them on the chat room, and then we'll visit them after the second speaker presents. Thank you once again, Leticia. Amazing, power-packed, insightful session we have just had. I'm sure a lot of us have known so many more things about artificial intelligence that we didn't know until now. Thank you so much. So we'll get things going in our presentation. Yay, thanks guys. Thank you for appreciating her. Please do. Yeah, I'd like to please call on the HQ. Let us take a word from our sponsors, First Bank. HQ, can you please share our sponsors' video?
In 1894, our first branch opened in Lagos, Nigeria. And we took our place in this new land brimming with possibilities and surprises. Take Kano, for instance, where the city's wealthiest trader made his first deposit. 20 bags of silver arriving on camelback. Aren't you glad that we offer online banking today? Expanding across the West African sub-region and beyond, our early presence made it possible for all hardworking Africans to build great things. So is it any wonder that not one, but two First Bankers have gone on to become Nigeria's central banker? We are intricately woven into the fabric of society, supporting polo for over 100 years and pushing the limits of athletic performance. Rooted in tradition, but constantly leaning forward into the future. Are you coming?
You first, First Bank.
Thank you so much again to our sponsors for this May edition of this program. So next, I'll be calling on Mr. Johannes Galatsanos. He's an executive director at Novartis and an MIT Sloan fellow. Johannes is the leader, he's a speaker, he's an educator in the space of data science and artificial intelligence. He's also a consultant at Ernst & Young. He's a regular speaker, a moderator, a chairman at several international conferences on life sciences, on data science, on AI, and on PLM. In his free time, he enjoys exploring the world and its cultures on two wheels, through photography and videography. Mr. Johannes Galatsanos, you are very welcome to today's session.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. So it's a great pleasure. Can you hear me all right? Is it and see me all right?
Yes, we can hear you. I can see you from here. Guys, can you drop a comment?
Perfect. Great.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such a great pleasure to be here among all of you and be able to speak here from our MIT, Cambridge, or /Switzerland, straight to Nigeria. So that's actually a great honor for me to be here and talk a little bit more about artificial intelligence and build upon what Leticia already explained to you. And I saw your great answers in the chat before, so please keep going into the chat. My session is now actually a bit to go deeper on AI. I'm very glad I've seen very knowledgeable and very great suggestions from all of you in the chat. So it's great if you keep on providing your comments and insights, because I'm also here to learn more about you and also help you get started with actually using AI. And there's two parts to it. So the first part is that I will go into is looking into a little bit behind the curtain. So, you know, we talked a lot on a high level now about what are some applications of AI, and also what kind of potential this has for Nigeria and then the world at large. And now we also want to, you know, pull the curtain, see a little bit behind the scenes. What is that? What are we talking about? What are kind of the main terminologies you would see? And then on top, also how you can build your own startup. So I know some of you are entrepreneurs, or at least want to be entrepreneurs, or in the process to, maybe already have a startup. And it would be great for you to see how you can actually build something with GPT, and what are the skills and how to build actually a business behind it. So apologies if I go a bit over time. I know we have about an hour, there's 20 minutes of Q&A. I got from Hansi before the okay that I might go a little bit over if we have many questions, and I'd love for you to have a lot of questions in the Q&A. So bear with me. Last thing before I start, there's a lot of stuff in here, a lot of pictures. They go a bit deeper, but the idea was that you have a good collection of detail that you can reference later on. So don't worry if you don't understand everything right now. It's not intended for you to understand everything in detail. It's more for you to get a feeling of the terminology and what we're talking about. So next time somebody talks about reinforcement learning or GPT, you know exactly what they're talking about. And I also have some resources at the very end. These are for you to self-educate. They're all free resources. You can freely access them on the internet. There's fantastic learning resources already. So if you are interested to deep dive or build your own startup, there are some resources at the end as well. So please consider all of this as a bit of an introduction for you to get started with AI in your company or your own business. Right, so that was a long introduction. Let's talk a little bit about AI history. And by the way, I do see a little bit of a scribble on my screen. Maybe it's just I wasn't scribbling, but maybe somebody makes notes there. So I have, or I want to talk today about the AI history a little bit. So you might have seen a lot of AI coming up now, and it seems like maybe it's a new technology. Actually, it's not. So it goes back to the beginnings of computing. So this goes even into the 17th century with Blaise Pascal. Some even say, so I'm originally from the lovely country of Greece in Southern Europe. And some even say it goes back to ancient Greece in a way, right? So the original mathematics to it. But AI and artificial intelligence has been kind of a dream of humanity to achieve and make computers or make machines think like humans. And there is a lot of big milestones here. I might just highlight also a few ones. So when I was originally writing my master's thesis and researching in university in Germany about AI, that was around this time here in 2011. There was a big achievement that IBM Watson had won the game of Jeopardy. This is a game where you're basically reverse engineering answers, and you need to give an answer to a question to an answer. And it was thought like the pinnacle of human intelligence, like the smartest people would go there and play. And you would see that this was actually won by IBM itself. And then you saw also what got me interested at the beginning was also around the concept of chess, right, and winning in chess. So this is another thing that already had been achieved in 1996 already. So looking at this now a little bit more to the more recent history. So we have something around artificial intelligence in 2018, 2016, where things escalated a bit. And I want to tell you why. So this is a little map of all the different language models that have come out in the last 5 years or so. So what we had is, you see here GPT on the right-hand side. There's a little tree on gray of all the GPT models. There are also the Google models that came out of it, which are basically decoder, encoder, encoder. So you see a little bit of different paths that are taken here for exploding from these large language models. And one of them you will see is also ChatGPT here on the right, and GPT-4. Llama, which comes from Meta, so ex-Facebook, and then Bard, which comes from Google. So all of these things came around the same time. And it seems like, why did everybody jump on the same time on the tree? And why is ChatGPT, but also Google releasing and Facebook, why is everybody releasing at the same time? So the answer to this is that they are releasing it because of one big paper, which came out in 2017. You see that there on the left. So Google Brain releases the paper on attention is all you need. There's a new concept that came out there, transformers, which revolutionized the way how you would create or how you can create these large language models. It was a very genius idea that came out. Interestingly, so when I was still studying 2010 or so, the large language models and even deep learning wasn't such a big use case. So interestingly, all of this wasn't so, we weren't thinking that in 2023 we would have ChatGPT coming out, or this is even something that's achievable, but it just turned out to be like this, yeah. And the foundations were set there in 2017, and then you see this tree exploding actually. And ChatGPT came out last year, as most of you know, so you probably played around it maybe last October here in 2022. But even before that, there was GPT-3, 2, and 1 that came out in 2019 onwards, right? So this took a little bit of a time. Let's now maybe go to another thing. So you saw before Oneido, and you saw also before a few images that were generated with AI that Leticia showed you. So this is called image generation. They are actually based on very much the same technology that you saw from that also the large language models use. And that's why you see also a lot of it exploding after 2017, the exact same reason, because of that paper that came out from Google. And you see here DALL-E. So DALL-E is one tool also by OpenAI, Stable Diffusion, which is another one, and Midjourney. So these are kind of the three big ones that you can see that you can use. Free to an extent on the internet. For some, you have to buy credits to use them, depending on the usage, and of course, commercial licenses. But these would be used for content generation. If you want to create media for your own webpage and so on, you would normally go to one of these or a subsidiary of those. And why did this all explode in the last 2-3 years? These all AI-generated images, exactly for the same reason, right? 2017, the paper, and then a bit of research, and then we could learn about it. But there's a bit more to it. So there's three main reasons that, besides that paper from Google, there's three reasons why now AI has exploded like this and why you see it so practical, yeah, to be used on so many cases. So the first one is Moore's law. Moore's law is a law that was postulated in the 1970s. And the idea there was that every 1.5 years, the computing power actually doubles. So this is a logarithmic count. So this is basically showing you how every year or every 1.5 years, the computing power, processing power actually doubles. And you see this is kind of consistent till today. So it hasn't been broken. The law actually still continues. Even though there have been predictions about, okay, at some point we will reach the end of, or let's say the physics limitations of building very, very tiny microtransistors, which are on the size of almost atoms at this point. But at some point we will reach a physical limit. But still, new and ingenious methods have come out to increase computing power. Now, this is great news because computing power and the cost behind it are crucial for AI. And you will see also afterwards what kind of difference it makes to have more computing power on some very nice images. Second reason why it explodes now is the cost of storage. The cost of storage. So when you were buying, these little floppy disks, maybe in the 90s, right, where you could just barely store something, or maybe a CD, there's 600 megabytes on a CD, right? Then you had DVDs and so on, Blu-rays. Now you can buy these terabyte of hard disks, right? And you can also buy online storage, right? So let's say Amazon or Google or Microsoft, you can buy the storage. And as you're doing this, this has become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And I think this is also great news. Both the computing cost and the storage cost is great news also for you and Nigeria in general, because this also makes it much more affordable to host large sets of data, which are also can be used by you to train or fine tune your own AI models. And maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the cost would be so big that this wasn't possible. Today, this is very much possible to get low cost storage. Last part, or Leticia already mentioned on that, already addressed this part. So there is an insane amount of data creation that has happened, and this has also grown exponential. So you see here on the left-hand side, the data that, for example, was created in 2010 in zettabytes. Actually, it's thousands of or millions of terabytes. You had about 2, right? That goes from 5, and now it's 180. What is today 120, right? And it seems that it will grow exponentially. So this is all the data generated across the world. This could be videos, right? With the rise of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, right? So we had tons of videos created. We have music, lots of music on Spotify and so on that has been digitalized. Text, we have Twitter, we had all the online forums, we had Google, right? So all of this creates a massive amount of data. And even more so now we have sensors, right? You might have a camera, which is a camera which is connected to the internet, right? Which creates data and images. You might have sensors, let's say temperature, or you might have it in a manufacturing site, little sensors that create data. So all of this creates more data. And the nice thing is, I'll show you in the next slide, that data is very important to make better results in these large language models and in AI in general. And then on the right-hand side, you even see a bit more of a projection, even longer, right? So if you think about it, you will have a much, a huge increase of data. So today it might seem a lot, but you know, we are only at the beginning of AI. And I just want to maybe emphasize that if you see those graphs, you know, they go to 20, 30, 40, 50. You are not too late for AI. Actually, you are at the right time to start working on AI and using it. So I just want to leave you with that message, because this will just continue to explode. And you are on this little curve, right? So see how tiny that little amount is for 2020. You know, it will really explode. So if you're now riding on this wave, you are perfectly positioned for Nigeria and for the world overall. Now, it's safe to say that we have reached the age of AI, right? So we can say this is now the age of AI and of exponential capability growth. Now you see a little picture here that one of our professors in Oxford also shared with me, and this is a fantastic picture because it shows how much smarter AI can get, or how much better results it gives you if you just increase computing power and data. So the image here, or the prompt that was given, was show me a kangaroo in an orange hoodie, which wears sunglasses and has a welcome sign in front of the Sydney Opera. And then you see the first version of the tool on the left. So when you had 350 million parameters, so if you want, think about them a little bit of as neurons in the brain in a way, right? So Leticia showed you with the brain has trillions of neurons. Think about it like neurons. So it's a small brain, right? It's smaller, maybe on the size of smaller than a rat, all right? So it would be, rats are actually, they're quite smart actually. So maybe let's not take a rat, but something very small. So with 350 million neurons, you would see here, the picture is a bit weird. So what is this? This is a kangaroo, it's a chihuahua, right? And what is even the letters there? It's a bit weird. Then the next iteration came, so they doubled the amount of neurons. And then, oh, you know, this is actually the Sydney Opera in the back, right? You can see the actual Sydney Opera. Kangaroo is kind of there. So it looks good, not terrible, right? Then you go to the third one. Oh, and that's actually, you know, very nicely rendered Sydney Opera as a kangaroo, but they hold a bit of the signs, right, that they hold are a bit weird. They say, what is this? You know, he will come, friend, right? So what happened there is these 3 billion now neurons. So now we're getting a bit closer to a brain, a human brain. These neurons reflected and saw what are the important information, which is the kangaroo, right, and the background. What it didn't know is the letters. So it didn't have enough brain capacity to understand how to write. So it learned how to make images, but not how to write. Now, 20 billion, right? So the next iteration, voila, 20 billion, it can actually say, welcome friends, right? It's a pretty fancy kangaroo here. So this difference here about, you know, taking 7 times more neurons, right? And just giving it computing power allowed it to learn how to write. And this is amazing because nobody thought this would happen, right? So this is the insane part about it. And Leticia told about that we don't know how this technology actually will continue, because what we just did is we just threw more computing power and more data, and voila, somehow you have amazing results. So it's a bit confusing for an AI scientist. So when I was researching AI, nobody thought this would work like this, but empirically we found out, yes, it does work. And just for a reference, that you see GPT, how many, or the different versions of GPT, right? They always had like multiplied by 10. And you see a little bit between GPT 3.5, which is ChatGPT, and then GPT-4, which came out this year, you see already a factor 10. So if you think about these images and how fast this is growing, right, per year, you can imagine how smart it will get next year, right? And this is an important part to know of this exponential growth that I mentioned before, because computing and data grows exponentially. That means that also the capabilities can, and they can do things that today you thought are not working, but in the future they might work amazing. So this is maybe what also drives a bit the scary part of AI, right, in a way. So more, or let's say in a year's time, or in end of this year, when the next version of GPT maybe comes out, what is it capable to do? We don't know. Actually, interestingly, not even OpenAI knows. This is an example what today you could do. So this is completely 100% AI generated. This is from Midjourney version 5. So you can actually go and play with it. And it looks like a perfect picture, but actually, no, this is fully computer generated. And here's another part. So this is also interesting. If you think about the growth between GPT-3 and GPT, so ChatGPT 3.5 and GPT-4, which came out 7 months later, they put it to the test. So they put first a bar exam, which you need to do when you become a lawyer. So ChatGPT was the 10th percentile. So it was in the 10% of the lowest exam scorers for the bar exam as lawyers, right? So good lawyers, yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily hire them for my case, right? If I have something important, so maybe not the lawyers you want to hire. Next version, which came only 7 months later, they are in the 90th. So they are better than 90% of lawyers in the exam. And that's kind of scary, right? So I'm not sure if there's lawyers in here as well. But if you are a lawyer, maybe you can write that down, but in the chat, then if there's any lawyers here, but if you're a lawyer, I highly suggest that you actually look into GPT-4 and how it can help you, because actually it's pretty amazing in working on that. But also maybe it's now a great time to think about utilizing GPT or utilizing AI in general to be better at your job, right? Because it has got such a good assistant at this point, right? And the same went for the biology Olympiad. So GPT or ChatGPT was in the 31st. So it was, you know, in the lower third. And then later on, it actually was outperforming all humans in the biology Olympiad. And you might think now, does it mean that GPT is better than all people, all lawyers, right? Or is it better than all biologists? And the answer is no, of course not. But in the tests, at least, right, in the standardized tests, it scores very well. So it might tell you something about maybe we should have different tests. Yeah, who knows? But also it tells you that if you're a biologist or if you're a lawyer, absolutely use GPT-4. And not just that, if you're many different ways to, or many different professions, as Leticia showed before, that should be using this daily to not be, or to still perform well in your job. All right, so this was an introduction. Bear with me, I said I will go deep, so I will go deeper now into showing you a few terms behind. But when we're finished, I hope you stick with me. If we're finished, then, and you paid the attention, then you would be able to explain to somebody how ChatGPT works, which is not that easy, but I hope we came out of the session that you know how this thing works. Right, so first few terms. So we have AI, machine learning, deep learning. You have heard all three things. I personally, that's interesting, I started in the field of AI and not in machine learning. So about 15 years ago, I worked on what we call game theory. So we're building the algorithms, how to play board games for chess and Go. And some of it was deep learning, but most of it wasn't. So actually was algorithms. And this is, let's say, what you would say under artificial intelligence. And at the end of the early end of the presentation, I have a very, very interesting case, which is actually predicting diseases. So you can use it in your app, you can download it, it's called ADA. And if even wherever you are in the world, if you have an internet connection, it can, with a good degree, diagnose the disease that you have and tell you if you should go maybe to a doctor or seek help or not, which actually helps a lot to communities who don't have access to medical care immediately in, let's say, maybe the village or the town. Or it might be also crisis stricken that they don't have medical support there, but this app could help them diagnose if they need immediate attention or not. And this uses 0% of machine learning, but it is AI. So that exists, but today all the rage is machine learning and deep learning. So machine learning is what also Leticia showed with the brain. It simulates the neurons in the brain, and deep learning is a subset of that, which is a more complicated form of machine learning. So just if you hear these three terms, normally people would use them interchangeably. So you would not necessarily feel a big distinction. Yeah, you just throw these terms, but there is a slight difference to it, just that you know. I still see somebody annotates my slides. I hope this is because they're very interested in seeing, in making comments, but at least I see little scribbles. So let's talk about machine learning now. Let's go a little bit deeper. There's three terms that you might hear and when you talk maybe to your management, when you talk to your teams, maybe you hire a data scientist or an AI engineer, and they will tell you, they will throw in a term like supervised learning, unsupervised reinforcement learning, right? This is here just to show you these are three different algorithms that you can use to achieve different things, actually. So supervised learning means, or you would always do that if you want to classify something or find a regression. Now, classification could be, for example, you have a set of customers and you think, okay, I want to separate. I want to separate also what is kind of a line which tells me that these customers are more likely to get a loan or not. Regression, on the other hand, is something if you just want to find a particular pattern or a particular function that tells you what is, in a way, the mean of the different data points that you have. Now, why is it interesting? I would say today, most of machine learning that you would use, or that you would see in an app, that you would have on your phone, that you would use in an enterprise, works actually with that. So it's what we call a bit more boring AI, right? So regression and classification is the two outcomes that are most often used. Although today nobody wants to speak too much about them because they are a little bit boring, right? They're a bit more simpler, and the use cases might not be as great as you might think, like a large language model or GPT. But still very, very solid algorithms. I'll show you in a second also the examples. Unsupervised learning means that you have data which is labeled, which means you have given also to that data a few labels, and they can cluster this, or they can associate. They can find patterns. Maybe they tell you what are your different customer types, right? Maybe yourself, you would think, you know, let me segment my customers, but actually, if you use machine learning, you will find a much better segmentation of your customers to how likely they are to spend things, how likely are they to buy, maybe how likely are they to retain in your app if you have an app and you want to see who actually will churn or who will leave the app or not. And then there's reinforcement learning, which we will go, and this is something that also GPT-4 uses. Now, the three different things that you would do, when would you use what algorithm? So you would have, that depends on your input and your output. So what are you trying, what is your data and what are you trying to achieve? Based on this, you can just find out what kind of algorithm you use. Don't worry, you don't need to now understand this fully, but I just want to show you that depends. This is not some sort of magic. It just depends on, do you have data with labels, which means, for example, do you have, do you say, let's say you have an ice cream and then you know also the temperature to it, right? Do you have data without labels? So it's just like a random amount of trillions of data sets that you just want to find classes, or do you also have a human in the loop that gives rewards and evaluates what happens? And if you do that, which is a bit more classical learning from an education perspective, you have reinforcement learning. So don't get too confused, as mentioned. This is just to show you the different terms that exist. And just to maybe confuse you a bit more, but just that you've seen the terms again for your self-studies, there are these, this is a nice visualization of things that AI is being used on. So on the left, you see, for example, clustering, so your customer segmentation or targeted marketing. On the right-hand side for classification, very important image classification. So Leticia mentioned the app for malaria detection, also used, for example, in diagnostics. So as mentioned, I'm from a pharmaceutical area. What we also do is next to the malaria detection, we could also do, for example, breast cancer screening, very big use case. This would use supervised learning with data of, let's say, breast cancer, which is annotated that, yes, this patient has breast cancer, right? If I have millions of these images, the algorithm can learn based on the images and the fact that a doctor said, yes, this patient has breast cancer, or no, this patient does not have breast cancer. It can learn when does the patient have breast cancer and whatnot. So this is a good use case for image classification. And actually my fields in medical, probably the most prevalent one is image classification, right? Because of detection and radiology, right? And then you have reinforcement learning, which is a bit that you take a lot of actions and then you get a reinforcement from a person. You use it in games, learning in robot navigation. So we mentioned the self-driving cars. This would be a great use case of getting reinforcement learning also from a driver. And also, skill acquisition, right? So this is also something that is used with GPT. Now, I mentioned all the rage today is ChatGPT. But if you look now into what is actually used, most of the use cases is this classical AI, let's say a bit more the boring one, right? So logistic regressions, decision trees. This is the stuff that we would, let's say, that wouldn't make the news necessarily, right? But every day, about this was 56% or so of the use cases that were investigated in the study, where actually they used these kinds of mechanisms, right? These kinds, and only a smaller percentage on the bottom, the ones that are underlined, actually used neural networks and used also a bit more the technology behind ChatGPT. So this data comes from Kaggle. The link is on the bottom. Kaggle is great also for you. Maybe this is also just to throw in another pitch. If you are interested to get into data science, and if you're interested to, or maybe you are already into data science, so you are maybe a statistician, mathematician, or you want to go deeper in it, Kaggle is a platform that gives you competitions. And these competitions that you can do, they reward you with money. So they pay you to solve a problem of an organization, a company, maybe it's an NGO, right? They want to solve a problem. They're looking for data scientists and they make a Kaggle competition, right? So this is a good way to actually make money and compete internationally. I think, if you have brilliant data scientists, that is a great way how to do a bit of a sidewalk as a data scientist, or even as your main gig could even be, right? For Kaggle, there's people who do it professionally and just work with Kaggle. So this was the results of it. So I just want to highlight with this slide. Yes, GPT is all the rage, and I'll show you how to use it, but it is not the only thing that you can do with it. Actually, it's probably the minority of things you can do with it. Good. Now, important, one question that you guys had was, what machine or can AI simulate fully human intelligence? The answer is no, not yet. And possibly never, but this is a more theoretical, philosophical one. But what ML cannot do today, based on these techniques that I showed you, is a few things. So one thing is to predict based on little data. So what you put in is a lot of data. You saw trillions of data sets, right, that you put into GPT. On the other hand, if you only have a very few data sets, so let's say a financial crisis, right? So you had the .com bubble, right? You had in the 2000s, right? The financial crisis. Now you have Corona. Then each country has different crises, right? Maybe there's a civil war or anything, right? There's these kinds of crises, but they don't happen that often, right? They don't happen. They happen maybe every X amount of years. So it's not like you can predict when is the next crisis coming, or when is the next, when is the next conflict coming or so, because there are rare events. They're very complicated. You don't have enough data. This is not something that AI can help you. So if you go and ask GPT, should I invest in stock or not? It will actually not be able to give you a good answer, right? It will tell you, I don't think now is a good time, right? But it wouldn't be able to judge where to invest, what to invest, right? Because, or also, is the next crisis coming? This is not something that GPT would be able to, or AI in general would be able to predict. Then things that are, let's say, when you don't have data which is relevant for the future, right? So often it can only learn from the data that it has already been taught. So if you not have put data into it, it doesn't know about it, right? So if you have said, if you have fed it particular data sets about the weather, right, and ice cream, then it will tell you there's a correlation between weather and ice cream. But if you have told it there is data about ice cream sales, but there's also data about cases of polio also, there might also be a correlation, but I won't be able to tell you, is there actually a causation behind, right? So are these things connected? This is something that the human brain needs to do and see that there is a correlation of events. And in generally speaking, as a summary, you need to know that machine learning does not actually behave or think like a human. It is actually better than a human in many things, as actually also was in other things. Where is it better, right? So, and this is maybe not the so scary part. We thought, okay, the bar, the image generation, quickly analyzing text, there it's better. Calculations also better. But if you think about it, it's also not a new development. If you have a calculator, right? Calculators were invented, electronic ones, you could have them already for 70, 80 years. Calculators are much better for you to calculate anything, right? If you want to do a multiplication. So you use a calculator, right? In a similar way, you would use AI because it's better at some things. And then you use your human brain for things which are not as good. Right, so let's jump now into making your own startup, right? So let's say you want to build your company, you want to jump into or use GPT maybe in your own company, right? Let's think about it a little bit. So examples, capabilities, limitations. And maybe in the meantime, you can put also in the chat who actually is thinking about creating a startup, or if you are actually trying or intending to use GPT. And maybe at the end of the session, you can also tell me if this helped you to become better. So please put in the chat whoever is thinking about creating startups or maybe already is and is using AI. So a few examples, GPT. I mean, I won't go too deep, but I think most of you might have played already with it, judging from your chats. If not, go. This is homework. Go right after this talk. Or on the weekends, open ChatGPT and talk to it. So I can only recommend that. You can also go to Bing and talk to Bing. It's the same thing. Now, in examples, you can say something, give me creative ideas for a 10-year-old's birthday party. Yeah, so GPT will find some great ideas from the best things that have ever been written. Capabilities, so it will be able to, once you chat with it more, it will remember who you are and actually will know how to build on your previous answer. So let's say you say, GPT, give me some ideas from my 10-year-old, and it says, dinosaurs, yeah. And you say, actually, my kid doesn't like dinosaurs, yeah. I think, she likes more spaceships, right? And I say, okay, all right, here's a spaceship themed topic. Yeah? So you can converse with it, and it's built for you to talk with it. Limitations, Leticia already mentioned that. So you have to take into consideration sometimes somebody in our cohort said it's like a very confident teenager, right? So it has an opinion on everything, but it's not always right on it. And sometimes it can give you incorrect information and still think that it's correct, but actually it's incorrect information. It can create harmful content, so it might help or it might tell you to do things which are maybe not ethical from your perception. And yes, there is a bias built in because it reflects the literature and the internet history. So as humans are biased, the literature or what we have written has been biased, and so also GPT or any large language model will be biased, right? In many ways, it might be sexist or racist and so on, because that has learned from us, and that's basically also what we as humanity have shown, right, as principles. So GPT has learned from it and will emulate this. Also, it has only limited knowledge from the world after 2021. Although if you go to Bing today, you will see that it can actually search the internet and find more recent events. The first time I used GPT, I had to debate about that, you know, there is still a queen in England. Actually, that wasn't true at the time. There was already King Charles, so you know, GPT hadn't caught up with it yet. But now, if you talk to Bing, it would know that. Now, okay, now maybe you come to why was Johannes throwing all these terms on us? You know, I'm so confused right now. Possibly, I'm sorry if I confused you with it. But why did I show you this? Is I want to show you this slide. So I want to show you that there is a bit of that there's not such a big mystery behind. And we have three terminologies here that I want to highlight that how GPT works. So let's start on the left. We already said that GPT used millions of data sets, right? They put large amounts of data in. We had billions of parameters, yeah? And then they used unsupervised learning, right? Which means this is labeled data. For example, they took a Wikipedia article and they said this Wikipedia article or this book is talking about these subjects. So this has been labeled. So unsupervised learning, it can actually work with that. Then second component in the middle, transformers. Who remembers transformers? Put in the chat. Write in who remembers the transformers that I mentioned about 20 minutes ago. And maybe write quickly what the transformers are. Anybody remembers that? Transformers was when I told you the big explosion of 2017. That was the paper from Google, which was attention is all you need. And they introduced the concept of transformers. This is a little bit how it looks like inside, so don't worry too much about it. But that concept is the heart of GPT, right? And that's why it's in the middle. Then on the right-hand side, what they did is something called fine-tuning, where they got GPT-3. And then to get to ChatGPT, they used reinforcement learning. So last part of learning, reinforcement learning with human feedback. So humans sat down and gave feedback to GPT on how to phrase things. And interestingly, why this was used is for two reasons. One reason was that GPT hallucinates a lot, so it comes up with fake facts, fake news. This is why we put it in there, that it will actually, this was filtering it out. So it was saying, GPT, you're going off thought, yeah, so you're hallucinating now. What you said is nonsense, come back again, right? So this was a feedback, so it stopped hallucinating. And the second part that they did is they used a lot of humans, so thousands of people. Interestingly, also, a lot of them were in Africa as well, that were paid actually very little money to classify data as, for example, offensive. So what they did is, let's say, see texts that GPT spit out that are not politically correct, or they might be biased or racist or sexist. And then people were there to tell GPT, no, bad GPT, don't say these things. Give it the feedback so it can reduce the bias. Now, this was a big part of that work, right? Is using humans to teach it what is good, or let's say what is in a way ethical, or what is acceptable to say and what isn't. So today, if you go, for example, and you download the free version of which, for example, for Llama from Meta, you can download your own GPT, which is very simple. But if you talk to it, you will see that it's quite unhinged, right? So it's very offensive. And Meta or Facebook didn't actually train it with this human input. So it was just the AI learning from humans without any other ethical supervision, right? And in this case, what OpenAI did is they put a lot of time and effort in to put a lot of humans to tell it what is okay to say and what is not, right? And this is the big part of ethics that we talked before, right? So what ethical principles will GPT use or ChatGPT will use in the future, or any of these large language models, and based on what perception, right? What is acceptable to say and what isn't. And this is basically what's happening down there on the right, reinforcement learning. Last part that I want to talk is really about data. So Leticia mentioned already, you need a lot of data, right, to get this done, to get this right. You see here, but the trillions of data sets that were used. So this is massive, massive. Here is a note. Why did I put this up here? Is because when you go today or tomorrow and you think, you know what, this session was great, I'm going to build my own GPT now. The issue with this is that you will not be able to, or you will not have enough computing power to do so. That's right, to do that. So I hope you can still hear me well, and see it's that my internet is a bit unstable. I hope my audio is still good. So let's think now about you and your startup, right? So where are you want to be positioned in this ecosystem? There's so many news coming out. Every day you got blasted with news about GPT, AI this, AI that. You want to start a company, a business. Where do you do this? Where do you want to play? This is a nice picture of the ecosystem of AI today. This was brought out by Andreessen Horowitz. They are venture capital in Silicon Valley, one of the most famous and biggest ones. There are a few areas around this AI ecosystem. So you could be on computing, you could be a cloud platform provider. Nigeria, I think actually it's not just Nigeria, honestly, everybody except the US and maybe China to an extent, and a little bit in Europe, but actually Europe is also very weak. In the bottom, there's almost nothing. It's just the US, right? So you have AWS, Azure, right? And the bottom, you have NVIDIA, Google. So these are really the big tech giants. And also the European markets cannot compete at all with this. This is now, at this point, has gone so far evolved that we're not even competing there. Then you have a bit more open foundations, closed models. So the people like OpenAI who actually build ChatGPT. This is something that countries or companies try to compete with, to build your own ChatGPT. And maybe if you have enough funds, right, you saw before the data, you saw the amount of computing power you need. Maybe as a country, as Nigeria, as maybe big investors, you could come up with a Nigerian GPT, yes, or you know, even in a larger context, the UK actually. So where we study in Oxford, the UK has proposed and is discussing to build like a UK GPT, right, with reflects the values of the UK and can actually be used with the right privacy and not just send data to America. So that is a possible area to play. But if you decide to play there, I hope you have a lot of money with you. OpenAI spent about hundreds of millions of dollars to build this. So if you want to compete with this, this is about the amount of money that you would think about, right? So not something necessarily everybody here wants to compete with. Where you want to compete with is the top. So this is if you want to build an app which is using GPT as a power, right? So you can use something which gives you some power, and then you can build an app for the end user. And you use what is below you. So you use already computing power, you buy cloud storage, you buy GPT, and then you can build your own app. So likely, and I'm making assumptions here, and please tell me if you want to compete in any other of these areas, because especially if you want to compete below that, let me know. That's a very interesting case, and that could be something we could think about deeper together if you are intending to build something like a Nigerian GPT. In all other cases, you might more likely play up there as an app. And this is why I want to deep dive with you. So what do you need to build such an app? So you need four things, clearly, right? So what is the problem you want to solve? What is the problem that you want to address in Nigeria and Africa and the world that users across can use? Is it an idea that somebody else has solved for another country and just want to replicate it? Is it because you have a need that you have in your family or that you had in your environment that you want to solve directly? Or is it something completely new that has not been done in the world yet that you just want to bring out and spread to the whole world to use? So find your business problem. You guys are all entrepreneurs and successful businesswomen, so I will not tell you about that in detail. There were some ideas before by Leticia, the areas that you can actually look into. Then secondly, you have this idea, can GPT actually solve this, right? Can a large language model solve it? It's easy to find out. Go to Bing or go to OpenAI, open ChatGPT, talk to it in the way how you would if GPT can help you with your problem, right? So let's say you want to summarize the way how, or let's say you want to summarize a text, let's say scientific papers. That's easy. GPT can do it. Just go give it a scientific paper, see if it spits out, if this is good enough, which means it can do it. So GPT works. Another thought for you is then how easy is it to replicate? So is this something that anybody can steal your idea tomorrow? Just open GPT, put it in and win, right? Then they could easily copy your app, right? So this is maybe something where don't make it too easy for yourself, right? The example I just gave is bad because anybody can do that. So it's not really a good business. Huh? Second, you need a team. So the team, this is now cool because you only need 3 things. So you need a domain expert, somebody who knows about the topic. And actually, most likely that's you if you're the CEO, for example. Secondly, you need somebody called a prompt engineer. And third, you need an app developer. Now, the cool thing is, and I put this here in orange, if you don't have a startup, but actually if you want to be if you just want to get into the business or develop your skills, maybe you have a more technical background, very good idea. So first I said Kaggle, very good idea right now is to become a prompt engineer or front-end app developer in a GPT space. This is a very, very sought after skill. I know it because I search for people with that skill set. It's difficult, they're highly paid, and not competitive at all because there's not many people. It just came out, this whole profession was just invented half a year ago, right? So you can now, if you jump now on the train, become prompt engineer, you offer your skills online, I'm guarantee you will find some work. Prompt engineering, so that's a great skill. If you are a CEO and you're looking for prompt engineer, good luck. That's going to be more difficult, but if you team up maybe with somebody who learns it, perfect. The cool thing about prompt engineering, it's not that difficult. It is actually much closer to human language. So you don't code in code, you code in language. And I'll show you an example afterwards. But it's simple to learn relatively, but not a skill that many people have. So go for it. If you're a CEO and a little bit technical, then learn prompt engineering. You will not regret it ever. And lastly, you need a front-end app developer. So this is somebody who builds you, let's say, the app on the iPhone. I'll show you how it works. This is very common. There's also tons of talent in Nigeria on that, but also a great skill to have if you are going, if you're looking for evolving your skills, also look into this. How does this look like? This is how you would build your app. You have I took an app here, which is called Milo. Milo is an app, it's just a random example. I'm not sponsored or anything by Milo, but I just found them because it's an easy to understand example. Milo is your life organizer. If you have a family, you have a busy time, you just want to quickly put tasks together, Milo is the helps you putting this together. So what you can do is, let's say you go quickly to buy something, you can leave a voice note and say, I need these kinds of groceries and sparkling water, and then it would put it in your shopping list, right? You will throw it its calendar and you just ask, hey Milo, when do I need to pick my kids up? Or is there something coming up? Or yes, there's a party that I need to go to. Milo, can you help me organize the party? Do I need to bring dinosaurs or rockets, right? So this is something that Milo would be able to help you with. Now, how does this work? This is just what you see on your phone. So you need somebody who builds that thing, the screen on the phone. And this is pretty standard. It's easy to do, right? And then there's the prompt engineering in the middle. This is the skill I told you should learn. So there's two things happening. One is if I put in a prompt, or let's say I put in an input as a user, I said, hey Milo, can you please add this to my shopping list, right? This translates, it sends it to OpenAI, to GPT, and says, can you please decode that message, put it into a list, you take the list and add it to a task. So this is something that prompt engineering does. It's quite logical, it's quite easy to do. And it needs a little bit of skill and understanding of how to use GPT. GPT gives you an answer back and it says, this is my list. So what do? You put it in your app and show it back to the user, right? So the person that is using your app, the user is not looking at GPT, they're looking at your app. But behind the scenes, they're talking to GPT. And what you are doing as a CEO, let's say you build this, you pay GPT, right, or OpenAI, so you bought a commercial license, you're paying them per user. So every thing that you, let's say every query that the user does, you send it to them, and then they send it back. This is, let's say, the computing power that they charge you. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's doing a startup, who actually was more or less this architecture. And he said for his use, which is intensive use, everyday use, he would calculate roughly $1 per month per user of paying costs, right? So he would pay to OpenAI about $1 per month per user for an intensive use, yeah? This is for GPT-4, which is more expensive. So if this fits into your business model, great. You pay them, they should give you, or let's say they give you computing power or credits that you can use for prompting. Just be aware, this is not for free, right? So you have to pay OpenAI this $1 per user per month, roughly, right? Roughly. And what you are doing then is you're just hosting, or you're building this app on the left. So you will have the application, the front end for the user. You're hosting it somewhere, and you're building this prompt engineering. This is what you're doing as a company. It is brilliantly easy. It is brilliantly fast to do this. So people my friend built this in a weekend. It's okay, he was a coder, it was easy for him, but he literally built an app in one weekend with using this. He still needed like 2 months to detail the prompt. So the prompt engineering took him longer, but actually just building this app was very, very fast. And this is brilliant that you now as a founder, or even in your company, you want to use this, you can so quickly build things and use all this brilliant technology of OpenAI for your benefit just by paying these fees, right, for getting it. So this is a great way how to quickly create a startup, yeah? This is a more technical view. I won't go in detail, but I showed to you very simple. This is slightly more, goes slightly better in the detail for you to review later. Also important that you look into if you are building this in a corporate environment. So let's say you have a company which is big, has many users. If you want to build a GPT, you can do that as well. Azure, so Microsoft can build you, or you can buy it from OpenAI Microsoft. You plug it into your company, and then you fine train it with your own data. So it can actually talk to you with your own data. And it understands your data, which is secure with you. So it does not leave your company, right? You're not disclosing your secrets to Microsoft. It's in your company, it's hosted, and you can build your own thing. So if you have a larger company, this is how you would deal with it. And it becomes obviously slightly more complicated, but this is another use case, which is super brilliantly simple to do. I talked to a colleague of mine, another pharma company, they built this in a few weeks for their company, right? So also very fast use case. And then just to get your appetite a little bit whetted, how do you do prompt engineering? It is as easy as using English language. So I told you all this engineering and prompts and blah, very easy stuff. You see here that you're basically giving examples to GPT. And it says, build me, for example, a nice description for a product. And you should use a playful tone. And I give him an example, like for cotton t-shirt, get comfy and playful in a 100% cotton t-shirt. Now build me something for running shoes, right? And then it tells you what's a running shoe. Yeah? Or you could give it more examples. You say, you know what? Here's an example for a cotton t-shirt, for a floral blouse, for trousers. Now make it for running shoes. Yeah? So the more examples you give it in the prompt, the better it will answer. And this is something that you build in the backend, right? So you build with your own prompts. The user doesn't see this. This is just what you build and what your app provides better service to the user. So it is, as I mentioned, is brilliantly easy. It's a great skill that people don't have today. There's a big market around it. There's thousands, actually there's 20,000 startups that have started using exactly this, what I just showed you, that are already there. I think Nigeria can really profit from having this skill set and building on top of this and solving actual problems using this technology. But I don't want to end with just GPT. I just want to give you one more inspiration. Here are 3 apps that are close to my heart. And I just want to, I come from the life sciences, as mentioned, and medical. These are 3 apps which are in the medical space. which don't use GPT necessarily, or they didn't till now. I start on the left, AI Scope. This is actually a non-profit AI diagnostic for low-cost malaria detection. So you just have a smartphone, a little microscope that they build out of plastic. You can actually download it and build it yourself. Use it's free for use. You take a picture of that and it can detect the malaria parasite in a blood sample. It's not yet meant for clinical use, so it's still in development, but it's a brilliantly easy application, which is fantastic for all areas that have or dealing with malaria, like also Nigeria. And it is cheap. It's meant to be non-profit. It's meant to be replicated for $1 or less all across and be able to diagnose if a patient has malaria or not. And this is fantastic use. And interesting, no GPT used whatsoever. They just use the boring AI, what I mentioned, the supervised learning, image classification. So just image labeled by a doctor, malaria, non-malaria, feed thousands of those in your algorithm, unsupervised or supervised learning, boom, then you have it. Second one, Be My Eyes, great application. This is if you have people who have who need sight support, who cannot, maybe they are have little sight, they can, the previous app or the first app, you would call somebody and say, you know what, can you show me if this, what kind of clothes have I put on my bed and what are the colors? You would video call somebody and somebody would pick up and say, okay, this is a red blouse, these are white pants, actually they go well together, go wear it, right? Or maybe you want to change it for a green one. So this used to be a cool app for people that connect with the community of volunteers. Now they have built in GPT. So now what they do is they can detect the image and tell you without getting a person in, a volunteer, just the app tells you, you know, that's a blouse with flowers and this is a white pant and this works great. Or maybe you want to change it with, I don't know, green. Yeah? So fantastic, a fantastic application. And then third, which is what I mentioned at the beginning, ADA, a symptom checker. So you can also download it today on your app on Android or iPhone, and you can put in all your symptoms. And at the end, it will tell you what is the disease you would likely have. And it will tell you, which is important if you don't have any medical care, should I go to a hospital, maybe, you know, walk or drive for a day or so to get to the hospital? Is it really important enough for me to do that or not? And this is where the real value comes from, is exactly from those underprivileged communities without access to good healthcare that need a first check of if the patient is has serious issues, and also provides training to nurses who want to learn more about diagnostics and use this app to diagnose people in their communities. So fantastic app, also non-profit. And this uses 0% machine learning, even no GPT. It just uses expert system, just knowledge of doctors, very classical AI. Good. I'll end with some free self-learning resources to get you started. As mentioned, dive into this, intro courses, specializations, go for it. This is for you to learn more. If this whetted your appetite, go and learn more and become experts and leaders in AI. And I want
AI-powered tools can handle large volumes of customer inquiries and support requests, allowing businesses to scale their customer service operations. AI has the power to accelerate businesses in never-before-seen exponential ways. However, it's important to note that AI should not replace human agents entirely. Human agents can provide empathy, creativity, and problem-solving skills that AI tools may not be able to replicate. Therefore, businesses should consider using a hybrid approach that combines AI with human agents to provide the best possible experience. Please use AI responsibly. Thanks Hansi and team at WIMBIZ and WIMCAP, and thanks First Bank Nigeria for this amazing opportunity to empower more women through artificial intelligence. Thanks Johannes Galatsanos for joining me today. Best wishes on your MIT journey. I'm Leticia Bertrand, and my vision is to train 100 million young girls and women in artificial intelligence. Thanks everyone for participating. Thank you for taking the step to learn AI. Thanks for moving Nigeria towards first world status, and thank you for starting this journey with us. AI power.
So this was thank you word from Leticia, and I can only join. Thank you also Leticia for the very kind and sweet words in that video. and fully AI generated, obviously. And yeah, sorry for being a little bit over, but now we're very open for your questions. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Johannes. Thank you, Robert. Leticia, we saw you there giving the the closing remarks. Wow, this is a very educative session. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard personally, the technical side of artificial intelligence. This is so exposing. So thank you so much, Johannes. So I'll be taking questions. Please, guys, let's appreciate Johannes. This is really, really insightful. I'm sure we all learned so many things that I probably didn't even know before about artificial intelligence. I learned so much personally, so I can definitely say that. Okay, so we're going into the chat room to take questions. So during the presentation, some people sent in some questions already. So we'll start with that. If you have some more questions you want to send, please use the Q&A tab on the platform. So I'll start taking the questions quickly so that we'll go through them because of time. So our first question came in earlier from Olushola, and he was asking if ChatGPT is AI. So I think you touched on that on your presentation. Did you want to speak more about that? I think this was before you started speaking about it.
Right, yes. I hope then people connected the dots now to what it uses in AI is. But the answer is absolutely yes.
Thank you, definitely. We've got another earlier question from Leticia Bertrand. She said, please say the name, repeat the name of the website / app, AI for diagnosing diseases. So I think earlier in the presentation, you mentioned that there was a website or an app, an AI-powered platform so she said you should mention the name.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the presentation there is also accessible in the links. I think you can share that then as well. And then you can click on all the links of the apps. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Johannes. So we can get that information. So there's a third question from Grace, also earlier in the presentation. What things or tasks are AI not good with?
Leticia, you want to go first? Oh, we can't hear you. Leticia, we can't hear you. You're on mute. No, we still can't hear you. I think we see you talking. Maybe as you try to get the audio. Oh, so sorry, still can't hear you. Maybe if I may just, while Leticia figures the audio. So there was the slide about things that AI is not good with. So one thing was reasoning, right? So let's say getting really and understanding a bit the context of things, thinking outside the box, if you want, right? In a very easy term, because AI can only predict on what it was learned on, not on the things it wasn't learned on. And let's say rare events, right? Like, so, the financial crises and so on that we found, can it actually predict the future in that sense for things that happen rarely? And the answer is no. So there is a few things that AI cannot do well, and you still need to use your human brain to perform. And then lastly, AI, so it seems now we put all these use cases out, but actually AI is not, don't think about it that it'll solve all your business problems. Often it's much cheaper or easier to not use AI and still solve your problem. Yeah.
So I think you can hear me a little bit now. I just disconnected my audio here. Okay, yes. So thank you for that, Johannes. So yeah, I have a painter in Lagos who's really good, and I discovered him when I visited Nigeria in 2021. His story will come later. He was homeless, and now he's doing really good and hiring people. But that's by the way. His job right now cannot be taken by AI. Painting houses right now, still safe. Plumbing, still safe. So while Johannes was talking, I was also interacting with the people in the comment area, and I asked you guys to download poll.com on your phones. There you'll find ChatGPT. So let's see. So the people that have done it already, let me know if you've been able to access So on this is poll.com. Can you see my screen? So on poll.com, you have Sage, you have ChatGPT, you have GPT-4, you have Dragonfly. So you have quite a few apps in one app here, POE.com. So you can go in and ask some of these questions. Like some people ask questions like, somebody asked, there was somebody that asked, so even the one about ChatGPT, is it an AI? Is it AI? So you can ask it right here and it says, yes, ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence language model developed by OpenAI based on the generative trained transformer. So you can ask these basic questions here. And also somebody asked how to become a prompt engineer. So with how to become a prompt engineer, if you want to type that into, poll.com is also in app form, and you can also log in on your desktop or your laptop. Okay, I think Isioma is asking that, and Mercy gets that. She says thank you. So to be a prompt engineer, which Johannes says is a hot button area right now, and you would be hired left, right, and center if you got the skill. How do you become a prompt engineer? So I'm going to answer that because I saw that in the chat area, Chinyelu. So you have to learn programming as a prompt engineer. You have to understand natural language processing, which is NLP, which I talked about. Johannes talked about it as well. You have to familiarize yourself with machine learning. These are things that you can do using, there's some open sources that teach you classes for free, or you can pay to attend these classes. You build projects, you join communities, and you keep learning. Over to you, Chinyelu.
Thank you so much, Leticia. Thank you, Leticia, for that response. I was coming to that question. So yes, that's how you become a prompt engineer.
Just a quick one. I also there's a link also in the
You want to
presentation.
answer that?
Sorry. No, there was also a little link in the presentation at the end, which also I just posted in the chat again, which is the official kind of prompt engineering guide from GitHub. So also to get you started with this.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Johannes, for that. So our tech sis in the house and our tech bros, I mean, if you want to advance your career into prompt engineering, please visit that site. Thank you so much, Johannes, for sharing that. Thank you, Leticia, as well. Okay, so we'll move to the next question. So I have one here saying, okay, so this ties into the previous question. How do I determine if a task is something that I should use AI for or not? So I think that ties into the former one that you answered. So I'll go to the next question from Grace. So she's asking, with the absence of localized data for emerging countries, how do we benefit from AI capabilities in Nigeria? Very brilliant question.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And that is a challenge because, Johannes, we just had this class during this last module. Like if you don't have enough data, what do? There's a replication process where they replicate data. But the problem with that is that your results may not be accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I concur. It's a brilliant question, really, and honestly, something I thought a little bit about it before coming to this session.
Yeah.
And interestingly, so before I came to the last module in Oxford, I was in Greece, so where I grew up. I talked to my father. My father is actually a medical doctor, and I told him, let's use GPT together and let's talk to him in Greek. And Greek is a language that is actually not very much spoken, right, in the world. We have about 20 million or so Greek speakers in the whole world, not so much written in the internet. And you talk to it, and actually GPT was quite dumb in Greek, right? So it wasn't very smart, and that was because there wasn't enough written in Greek and on the internet that it could learn from. So it was immediately 10 times dumber in Greek than it is in German, for example. And then in German, it's even dumber than English because English is the majority of the text. So. it does affect, right? There's an impact, especially if you talk to, let's say, dialects and languages which are not English, or French, Spanish, German, maybe like some main, or Chinese, right? Japanese, some main languages that are spoken by majority of people, and there's a ton in the internet. So there is an actual drawback if you don't do all of this in English. That being said, there is then a second area, which is getting data from, let's say, the users, right? Because this big data explosion happened to people using all these apps on their phones. If you have less people using a lot of apps, a lot of generating data on their phones, then also you have a drawback, right? On the other hand, there's a huge population, right? Both in Nigeria and in Africa in general, which means there is a potential to generate a ton of data, and also a lot of untapped potential, right? Of giving services back to these people. So the point there is it works both ways. Maybe right now there is more data generated in other areas of the world, but you can quickly catch up with that and actually ride the wave of all this new data being generated. And this is walking to your interest in this case, because as mentioned, you're just at the beginning of the journey of AI, right? We are not even close to the finish, right? So there's so much more time you have and so much more potential. And as Africa generates much more data, you can be the first ones to actually utilize this and be much better than ChatGPT or OpenAI for Nigeria and Africa.
Thank you so much, Johannes, for that. So I'll move to the next question. So Grace is in sustainability, and she's asking, what segment of AI can a sustainability reporting business utilize?
Repeat her question again. You broke up for a little bit.
Okay. So I said, what segment of AI can sustainability reporting business utilize? So the person,
so
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. So who asked this question? Was it, you said it's Grace?
Grace, yes.
Okay, Grace, I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to show you how you can answer the question as well for yourself. So do me a favor and go to openai.com, because this is what all of us can do, and we can begin to become more comfortable with AI. So if you go to openai.com and you click on ChatGPT, or using poe.com, exactly, let's ask AI the question. So when you ask AI the question, it spits out quite a few answers for you on sustainability and how you can use AI for sustainability. So Grace asked the question, so were you able to find the answer there? Was anybody able to find the answer there? Even if all you type is sustainability through AI with AI in AI, it'll pull up things like energy sufficiency, efficiency, responsible data usage, green AI, bias reduction, explainability, circular AI, and then it'll go on and explain all that to you. Yes, awesome. So you found the answers. Tobina found the answers. So you can apply that every day. All right. Great.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's actually a lot of, if you go to YouTube and so, there's a lot of people who ask GPT, what kind of business should I do? And then GPT told it, this is a business. And there's even a guy who built a whole business just on the prompts that GPT gave it. And he actually made good money. So GPT suggested the best way to make money is using GPT itself, is to print T-shirts and sell them on a web shop. And the images are AI generated, like Leticia showed. So you could AI generate a T-shirt and then print it and sell it. So GPT comes up with its own ideas, what kind of business you want to run. Feel free to ask, you might get great answers.
Yeah, absolutely correct. That's true, Johannes.
Wow, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a similar question from a lawyer. So Olushola is asking, how about GPT for lawyers? And then, there's a follow-on question from him. Can we say that AI represented a client in court that is playing the role of a lawyer a form of replacing human functions? Is it a good idea? So, I mean, I guess what he's asking is, can AI be so advanced that it can represent clients in courts?
That's go ahead, Johannes, you attempt that first. Because we're talking about emotions, reading emotions, can AI
no,
do
please,
that? Okay,
please go first. Please go first, Leticia, please.
Oh, you want me to go ahead? Okay, yeah, sure. So I think that lawyers' jobs are safe. I think that lawyers' jobs are safe because, I'm not a lawyer. It was my dream to be a lawyer when I was younger, but I do know a few lawyers. And I know that they rely sometimes on emotion, being able to read emotion. And that's something that AI is not able to master at this time. So let me make sure that I got all her questions correctly. So I even put it into ChatGPT to find out what it says. GPT for lawyers. So it says that GPT models can be used in the legal field to automate various fields, various tasks. So when it comes to just regular, paper filing things, you can use AI for that. Contract analysis, legal research, you can use GPT models for that. Summarization, you can use GPT models for that. For instance, you have all these briefs that are thousands of pages long. You put them into GPT and it'll summarize it for you and give you a short story. Document generation, you can use GPT for that. Chatbots, you can use GPT for that as well. But when it comes to arguing your case in front of a judge, I think your job is safe. What do you think, Johannes?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I absolutely. Well, and maybe it's something good to say. So if you ask, can ChatGPT replace that job, whatever it is, the answer in almost all cases is no. Because there still needs to be a lot of, let's say, other tasks that person normally does, right? But I think that's maybe the wrong question in a way, because today you cannot replace the full lawyer, for sure not. But you could replace some key activities that the lawyer is doing, right? And that's what you should be asking, is more, how could GPT help X profession, right? Not completely replace it. Yeah, we're not there yet. So if you're asking, I mean, there were already some great chats in there. So paralegal jobs, yes, actually those are in a way threatened. Why? Because the lawyer, instead of hiring the paralegal to do the research, throws it in GPT, gets out the output, right? And gets a very good summary, which might be better and for sure much faster than having these paralegals. Same thing is, I think, Olusola also mentioned write pleadings for a case. Yes, 100%. Interesting, in Oxford last week, we just had a debate and we debated a copyright issue. So I was on the debating group. So we are two opposing forces, and our plead was actually written by GPT, and then we took what it said and we actually detailed it. So yes, it can actually write your debates and your pleads. And it's very good as a basis, right? It's not 100% there yet, but it's very good. So I would always encourage you, how do you use this to improve your job, not how to replace your job, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Johannes, for that. Thank you. Thank you. Really, really insightful. Okay, so we'll take our last question. So Freda is asking, I believe, Kemi is asking, I believe she's a business owner. So she's saying, I mean, with this amazing AI, that we have with us, if a company wants to build an app, can ChatGPT do that? Can artificial intelligence to build the app for them, or do we still need to use developers to build apps?
Brilliant. Yes. Interestingly, so talking with as you saw from my presentation, I'm a bit technical. Apologies if I went a bit too technically into it and I lost some of you. But asking my techie friends, some of them actually are kind of scared, right? They said, I have a bit of a career crisis now, right? GPT is so good at programming. Do I even, what's going to happen in a few years? Will I even have a job, right? Because GPT can program better than I can do. And that's an interesting phenomenon. So, something that was thought like, oh, this is so difficult, right? So technical. And then there you go, GPT just blasting it away. Today, yes, you would, if you're building something which is slightly more complicated, I would say, or wants to scale, yes, you would still need developers, because the developer would think more about, let's say, the architecture of it, right? So how do these components fit together, the logic behind, and very important, the developer needs to translate what the business wants, right? So if you're on the business side, you want to talk to a developer, you need to somehow explain it. If you just let a business person with no coding, nothing, just go to GPT and put in some prompts, you will get rubbish, right? So you still need that person. That person's job, though, the developer, will change a bit. I think if you are today a developer and in Nigeria or anywhere, then you should be using GPT daily, right, to write your code, help you with your code writing, accelerate yourself, because then you're faster than most people, right, that would just code themselves. Yeah, even somebody who went to Stanford or MIT or whatever, engineer, if they don't use GPT, you might even be faster than them building this quickly because you use GPT and they might not. So definitely use it to build it. Today, you cannot fully replace a developer with it, but that developer you hire can do much more, right, much faster. And GPT-4, I mean, there is actually an app, I'll post it in here in the chat, but there's an app that you can download that builds you apps. So you just describe the app, you write down a bit the mockup, and it can build you that website. So it's already getting very smart. Maybe in a year's time or so, you could even write a complicated code. You could say, write me a store that does transactions and works with cell phones and this and this. Maybe GPT is able to, GPT-5, 6, whatever, is able to build this completely for you. Yeah, that's very possible. But either way, if you are a developer, I think it's still a good skill, as Leticia said, right? Like the learn about the development skill is still very good. And if you learn a lot about, so the prompt engineering part of it, I think you are doing a very reasonable investment. Yeah. Sorry, Leticia.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Johannes, for that. Sorry, I'll take one last question. And please, this is our final question, the final. I'm not taking any after this because of time. So Florence is asking, considering how well we can use AI, ChatGPT for, in the education space to get our research projects done, get assignments done, this has huge implications. So she's asking, how can this be managed in the education space so that it doesn't put us into trouble, put the students and, the entire education concept into trouble?
Right. So that's a great question. So here at Oxford, Johannes and I know that we're not allowed to use AI for any of our exams, assignments, whether it's open book or not. We're not allowed to touch open AI at all. In the future, in certain areas, that might start to change, but it's a personal opinion, and it's not about students going in and typing in the questions and then copying everything and presenting as their own. But there are ways, I think, that OpenAI can supplement education in schools. Maybe be creative, and this is where everybody jumps in and brainstorms about how they could use OpenAI in enhancing education, especially in emerging countries, because using OpenAI, I think, is going to accelerate more efficiently the progression of students in Nigeria, for instance, or in Africa, for instance. If you say, okay, I'm going to give you this question in class, so come up with your own answers. And then on the other side also, ask ChatGPT the same question, compare your answers with the ones that you got from ChatGPT, and see how you can learn using what OpenAI has to offer. So that's one way. And then there are ways that OpenAI or ChatGPT can be used to grade questions or exams by students. I mean, I think that there are different ways that we can incorporate incorporate OpenAI into our current educational system, especially in Nigeria. Johannes, you might want to weigh in on this. I know, you're not in Nigeria, but it's a universal topic everywhere around the world. It's a question of ethics. Should we not?
Absolutely. And actually next week, I'm talking to a group of teachers here in Switzerland, where it's actually the exact same question. So how can they use, and what should we do with AI in education, and how should we treat it? But actually the answer in Switzerland would be slightly different, because I think there's also a fantastic opportunity with AI to educate people who don't have access to that kind of education. And it could be people and also especially young girls who want to learn a particular skill that's maybe quite niche, and the region, for whatever reason, might not be able to provide that skill, right? And that gives you access to train any kind of language, right? You want to learn, I don't know, you want to learn how to program, but you don't have a computer science teacher in your hometown. GPT knows how to do that, and actually GPT can talk to you, and you can have an actual conversation like a private tutor, right? The studies have shown, and interestingly, this is also kind of the recipe for success for Oxford, is to have what we call private tutoring. And we know that if you have a private tutor, somebody who knows you personally and says, Johannes, you are weak in, I don't know, the statistics, but you're good in this, and teaches you then and focuses on you, then your grades get better by 2 standard deviations, right? So you're actually getting a much better percentile of grades and outcomes. So GPT can be your personal tutor, right? So it can improve the quality of education significantly. And I think this is a huge untapped potential. If you can use GPT or large language models and deploy them in, especially in regions which don't have access to high quality education, this can be a game changer. So I think, and what I always tell teachers in Switzerland, in Germany, in the US, and especially also in Nigeria for you, I would say the same, is embrace that technology. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it, and maybe your students can learn so much from it, and can become so much better with having this private learning. And actually, Leticia, if the first time Leticia reached out to me and thought about, hey, what can we do also to utilize AI, right, and help in Nigeria. And then the first discussion we actually had was on education. So we thought about how can we use this AI to come to bring you to give you the exact same tools everybody else in the world has, right? Somebody in Silicon Valley, kids in the best schools, private schools, would learn with the exact same tool that you would learn in Lagos or Abuja or anywhere else, because you would have access to the same technology. And one thing maybe to think about, so if you're thinking about going in education, startup, for example, have a business idea to improve education in Nigeria, absolutely, this would be a fantastic case. And if you do that, I just have one little tidbit for you. What is also important is to think obviously about costs, right? So you need the device, you need to pay for maybe a subscription, right? And you need stable internet and power, right? So these are things that are, especially in the regions where you wouldn't have access to high quality education, these are things that might also be missing, right? For that, consider also a bit cheaper or easier large language models, which are free, for example, from Meta, Llama. So you can actually get free large language models, which are like GPT. They're not as good, but they would be good enough for you to have a high quality education. So think about that if you think of education startups. I think there's a fantastic area for Nigeria to invest in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Johannes.
Thank you so much, Johannes. Thank you, Leticia. Yeah, so thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for the questions. You would agree with me that this has been a very, very insightful session. A big, huge thank you to the both speakers. They've done a very great job of demystifying artificial intelligence. So thank you so very much. There'll be another training on AI, I think sometime around July, to be communicated through the WIMBIZ platform. So please, yeah, let's look out for that. Before I call on the program's chair to give us the closing remarks, can I please request everyone to turn on cameras Let's have a selfie. Let's take pictures for this event. Please say thank you to the speakers in the chat room while we do that. Okay. Say cheese, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Okay, so at this point, I would like to please call on the chair of the programs committee, Malade Adeni, to give us closing remarks and announcement. Malade.
All right. Hi, everybody. And I'm not seeing those clapping emojis for Leticia and Johannes. Thank you so much, Chinyelu, as well. Please, can we make them feel absolutely welcome? I mean, that was an amazing, amazing session, glued from the beginning right through to the end. Thank you so much. Thank you, Johannes. Thank you so much, Leticia. That was great. You really demystified AI for us. It got a little bit techy at some point, Johannes, but you know, we have, it was still sort of good to know. I have my POE.com downloaded and I'm going to be using it a lot more. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Chinyelu, as well, for being an excellent moderator. We truly appreciate you. Thank you to everyone for staying throughout. I looked at those numbers and the numbers stayed, you know, high. We want to get your feedback. So the WIMBIZ HQ, they're going to drop a link for your feedback. It will also be emailed to you, but please, if you can, just click on that link right now. We truly appreciate your feedback. Your feedback is what helps us do this better, is what helps us improve, is what helps us bring more programs that are useful to you. So please do complete the feedback as well. And I'd also like to give a special shout out to our sponsors, First Bank. They have been supporting WIMBIZ, you know, for as long as I can remember. And thank you for always being there for us. Thank you for supporting this amazing program. I feel like we could do another 5 hours of this, Johannes and Leticia. We still won't be done. But thank you so much. Thank you. Again, I'm inviting all of our dear participants who may not have joined WIMBIZ as an associate to become a WIMBIZ associate. There's many benefits. Please join us. The link is on the screen right now. For further information, also contact membership@wimbiz.org. We'd love to welcome you into our associate family. Any questions, please reach out to any of the WIMBIZ HQ team via that email. So WIMCAP, this was a WIMCAP program, and WIMCAP is that you know, program by WIMBIZ that is focused on women in business, women who are, you know, starting their own businesses, thinking about starting their own businesses, running the side hustle, whatever it is. We have another program coming up, and I want to get the name right. It's coming up on the 8th of June, and it's really focusing on good governance, a focus for MSME. So everything that you need to know around, you know, governance, et cetera, please join us on the 8th of June. On the screen right now is also another program coming up, which is the Women on Boards Institute training. This will be coming up on the 22nd of June, as we can see on there. Links will be thrown in the chat box. You can click on them, but you can also find out more information at wimbiz.org. So go there and all information is there. Please share your tidbits with us on our Twitter, share pictures on our Instagram page, whatever it is. Let's talk about this. We've just learned, my mind is blown right now. I can't wait to go, you know, to see what more I can do with, you know, with ChatGPT. I've learned a few more as well. Sage from the SOAP POE. Thank you so much for that, Leticia. It's opened up my mind to so much more. So please, let's talk about it. Let's hashtag WIMBIZ, let's tag WIMBIZ, you know, let's tag hashtag demystifying AI and all of that. I think that those are all the announcements that I have. There'll be lots more programs coming up, and I hope you really enjoyed this session. If you have, can I see a last set of burst of emoji, your favorite emoji in the chat box? Please just let's bombard the room with all sorts of emojis. It's been a fire and a powerful session. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, Leticia, again, Johannes, thank you, thank you. Thank you on behalf of everyone who joined and everyone who's going to watch this later on. We say a huge thank you. This has been amazing. We can't wait to have you back. So we hope you're going to come back again and again and again as well. Chinye, thank you so much for being an amazing moderator and facilitating this session. Ladies and gentlemen joining us, thank you for being here and giving us almost 3 hours of your time. Absolutely phenomenal. It's a testament to how powerful the session was. On that note, I want to wish everybody a good evening. Thank you for joining and see you at the next event. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.